We recently had a great viewer question, which basically asked, what's the big deal about group life insurance? Why do people think it's so good? We're going to talk about that on today's episode, some reasons why group life insurance is a really good thing, talk about a few drawbacks to it. And by the end of this episode, you're going to have a framework to be able to think about your group life insurance. Hi, I'm John Shear, and I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan Mermel, and I've got a family financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. And John, before we move on to talk about group term life insurance, let's ask people to subscribe. It helps our credibility with YouTube and helps us reach more people. So John, right. I love this question too about group term life insurance. And honestly, you know so much more about this than I do that I wanted to ask your opinion. So how should we think through group term life insurance?
Yeah, that's, like I said, super good question. Really appreciate it. And so one of the things we talked in a recent episode about, hey, I got coverage through work. Don't I have enough? And the answer is usually no, you probably need a lot more than you get like that basic stuff through work. So what is the value of that? The things you get through work in the first place? Legitimate question. And there's a couple of things that I think it really plays a good part in. And one not to be overlooked, just to start with it, is that it's easy. Right? You sign up for your health and your group benefits and you sign, and it's just sort of done for you. Right.
Yeah.
And it's easy to overlook the idea that, how many people come into your office as new clients or to mine and, oh yeah, we need more. We've been meaning to get more life insurance. Now we've got a family or different things. And it's just, it's not a priority. Right. So taking action, there's some value in that, I think.
Well, and the people who need life insurance most are the most overwhelmed and
right.
unable to deal, have so many things on their to-do list that the easiness is actually a major benefit of it. You can actually, at least one plan that I'm familiar with, you can set up a certain amount that you can get without a health exam. So that's even easier. So you can go for a certain amount without a health exam and then more with a health exam. And so if you don't want a health exam for whatever reason, you could, it's easy. So, and it's
right.
so much better than nothing.
Right. And that easy button.
Yeah.
That health, that's the other big, or at least one of the other big things. And certainly one for me is that idea of, if your health isn't the greatest, right? People find out as you get into adulthood, they've got different things going on. There's many of the group policies that you can get a basic amount with no underwriting, meaning no medical exam or any of those. And some even you can buy some extra things with none of those medical exams or very little. And you think about that for a healthy person, right? Somebody's got nothing going on. Geez, the group insurance is probably a little bit less expensive, but you can probably buy something on the open market and it doesn't save you very much money. If you're somebody who's got some health concerns, right? You find out you got some kind of liver disease or something going on, you develop a condition, going out and buying it in the open market, if you can even get it, might be really expensive. And if you can get it as part of this large group, right, where they spread the risk out and they go, listen, we'll give you 1 time your salary with no medical underwriting, that can be a really great deal, right? It can be a really beneficial for you.
So your second point is, okay, it's easy and it's available. So
it's available, right?
It might be a lot cheaper for you, particularly if you have a medical condition.
That's right. That's right. I think that's one of the places. And I haven't come across this in a long time, but being a CPA, maybe you're familiar, the AICPA at least used to have a very prominent as part of that organization. So, we're talking about employers here largely, but sometimes groups, you're in the AICPA or the Bar Association or other professional organizations can offer these sorts of benefits. And AICPA used to be famous that their rates, and it's all published, right? You know what it is, but for younger folks, they were just dirt cheap. You couldn't get that anywhere on the open market. And then when you got to be, 35 or 40 or 45, rates started to go up, and then they kind of went like this, and then they were very uncompetitive in the open market. And you think okay, well, what's going on here? Well, listen, when, people starting off having families, typically in the younger ages, you go, geez, this stuff is dirt cheap. Let's get this. Well, what happens is, as people grow through things, that they don't need as much coverage and it starts to get really expensive, so they drop it. But think about this, Bridget, who keeps coverage into their, in 40, 45, 50, and when it starts getting really expensive? The really healthy people that expect to live another 50 years, right? Or is it those people that, I found out that I've got Hodgkin's disease. I
Right.
had this come up. I had that come up. And now, my health maybe is a little bit shaky. I'm 45 and I still got kids at home, let's say, and you go, geez, having $1 million of coverage, makes some sense. Having $500,000 of coverage, my life expectancy is compromised. So my choices are drop the coverage and have zero, or pay this really high rate, but I might need it, right? So it's that sort of thing that it could be really valuable long, on those types of things. But that's sort of where they make their money, if you will, is it's cheap at the young years, and it typically gets more expensive. So you have to keep an eye on that. But that's a place where it makes sense for folks,
Right.
like
Yeah.
having that group coverage. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to just point out that we've moved past just employer coverage, which is
Yeah.
one good place to look, to other groups that you might belong to or might be able to join. So this is the Bar Association, this is the CPA Association, this is your whatever industry association. They often offer group plans that they've negotiated, and they can be a great place to look. And I know I've bought, I guess I haven't bought life insurance through them, but I've bought other insurance through the ASCPA and other group, like membership group plans. So it's another good place to look. And again, there's similar plans to the one you get at work in many ways, but they are something you can join. So if you don't have a plan at work, you can go look at these other organizations and say, okay, do I want to look at these group term life?
Right. And maybe a better term rather than employer is a group plan, right? It's oftentimes employer, but these other associations, as you mentioned, and you think about a situation, think about, my kids came late in life. And so somebody who's in their 40s, when they have children, right? Health doesn't typically get better with things. And so we tell people all the time, when you're in a spot where you go, listen, getting insurance, maybe I can get some, but it costs a lot on the open market. Are there associations that you can join that maybe I haven't participated in this or that organization, but you start to ask around, and we have clients that go, oh yeah, they said AICPA is a relatively famous one in our world, but this organization offers some group health insurance. This organization, for my business and yours, right? Small company, there's not tens of thousands of employees, so you get a great group package. But these associations can be a really good place to start looking. So maybe that's just a little bit of a segue, but I think a really important thing for people as they're looking to get, geez, we need to get some insurance coverage. Typically I've got the family now, and if I've got some dings on my health, maybe some of these associations, Chamber of Commerce, even those sorts of places where the insurance companies can pool the risk, that can help get some coverage from that standpoint. So
let's talk about potential downsides of group term health.
Yeah, so there's a couple of them. We already sort of mentioned one of them, is that they get expensive over time, right? And so if we take somebody who's, let's say somebody's 30 and now they're in a position to need some insurance, I can get it really cheap through the AICPA, let's say, or I can pay a little bit more and I can get it on my own. Right. We usually recommend that they think about getting it on their own, because that rate is going to stay lower over time, right? We're not going to have those increases. And somebody who's 30 or 25 might say, listen, if in 20 years, I'm having kids now, in 20 years, I don't need the coverage. That's a very legitimate choice, right? Certainly a good position. But again, I'll go back to, I'm 42. And how many people do you know that have I got this crazy cancer, I got something going on, and now you go, holy moly, this is something where this insurance is really a big benefit. Maybe even if the kids are out of the house, you go, I want to have this. If you own and control the policy and you've got those locked in premiums compared to that increasing scale on a group plan, that could be a good deal. So the drawback might be cheap when you're young, but if you find out something changes, have a child later in life and now you need to keep the coverage, having individual coverage can really be a big benefit to you. And then the other big one on those group plans that people don't realize is that both the company or association, as we're talking about, and the insurance company, they get to decide whether those policies those plans stick around. Right. So, I mean, literally tomorrow, your company, the association, the insurance company can say, this is not that good of a deal anymore for us. So we're going to drop the coverage effective, July 1st. Right. Suddenly you have no coverage.
Right.
Where if you have a policy with an insurance company, in the policy, it says that they have to keep the coverage in force as long as you pay the premiums. Right. It doesn't work like that in a group plan. And again, what are the chances it happens? I don't know, but you don't want to find yourself in a spot when you're 45. Now you got some health concerns and you got little kids and you find out that, hey, my group coverage is going away. Right. So that's some of the drawbacks to that side of it.
Right. You want your insurance to feel like a safe place.
Right.
And so there's just a little more uncertainty because they can drop these policies.
That's right. I think I was just going to say one other thing as we think about, those group plans. And again, typically it's from employers. As we see, it can be really nice to get some coverage on family members, right? A little bit of coverage that can be kind of nice. One thing that we don't recommend and we see often is they've got what's called accidental death and dismemberment, right. Which if you ever read those things, it's a funny thing to read. I mean, not funny, but if you lose one hand, you get paid this amount. If you lose one hand and one foot, if you lose 2 feet and 3 fingers, or, these different things, you get payouts for it. Or if you die in an accident versus die, from a cancer, from natural causes. And those things sound good. They're really inexpensive, but they're inexpensive for a reason, because the payouts, generally don't qualify. And it's sort of like, listen, if you need coverage, does it make any difference whether, it was cancer or a car accident? Right. If you need the coverage, you need the coverage. So we usually see those on the group side of things, and those are typically not worthwhile.
Yeah. And one other thing I just wanted to highlight with group plans through work or with organizations. With the organization, you have to keep your membership up to insurance, and with a employer, you have to stay with the employer also, so they can drop the plan. But also, I have seen in my lifetime plans that you could take with you, but more often I've seen that you can't. So
that's right.
This goes away. So even if, most people I don't think want to be beholden to their employer only because of their life insurance policy, because of the life insurance. So that's another thing to consider, is that you would think like, oh, keeping my membership up in this organization is no sweat. But again, we're busy. We have things to do. Life insurance, again, is not something you really usually want to think about or think about that much. So it's one of those things that can slip through the cracks. Just paying it. So it gives you, it's a little bit more complex. If even though it seems easier to get it through an association, it's a little bit more complex.
That's right. And so, kind of circling back on that question, what's the big deal? Why do people like group life insurance? It's easy. It's often inexpensive. If you got some dings in your health, it can be the way you can get coverage.
Much better than nothing. It's much better than
nothing, right? You probably need some outside of work if you're in the right circumstance and you need it, but it's not like the group coverage is not a good thing is not valuable in some fashion. So hopefully that answers that question, and probably a good time to wrap things up here. And just remind everybody that both Bridget and I are members of the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, a group of nationwide fee-only planners that believe in holistic planning. If you like what you hear on our show, check out acplanners.org to find an advisor in your area. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, right? Beat you to it this time. Hit subscribe so other people can find us.
Thanks, John.
All right, thanks.